Hello, my name is Allison Forrest, and I'm a student at the University of Houston, Victoria. Right now, I'm taking a senior project course, and my project is the Workplace Management mobile application. And this is the first project progress report after the first project proposal submission. So if you recognize this Gantt chart, it was from my project proposal submission. It was the original plan that I had set up for the schedule. Some things to note. Um, March 1st was the due date for this progress report, and based on the schedule, I should have been done with the entire design phase, as well as the first half of the database and data storage development. So I should have already been in the development phase by March 1st. However, things haven't gone exactly to this chart, but I'll get into that a little bit later. So first of all, let me overview some of the work that I've completed so far. I have completely completed the design phase. So I've gone through the visual design where I've selected kind of color schemes and how I want a lot of the pages to be laid out in the app. And I've also kind of selected the menu bar buttons as well as many of the functional buttons that will be in the app. I've also completed high-level design, where I've collected a lot of requirements that I would like the app to fulfill. And I've also kind of created lists of functions that I would like to have the users be able to perform through the app. And then finally, I finished a low-level flowchart, both for the employee user experience and the manager user experience. So this is kind of an overview of the flowchart, one of the flowcharts that I created. This one in particular is going to be the employee user experience. There is another flowchart for the manager user experience that's going to look a little different. It's going to have a lot of the same features here, but it's going to have also two extra branches that allow them to perform functions to manage their employees. So kind of overall, these flowcharts describe the pages in the app, the different menu bars, the different buttons, and what each page will be displaying in terms of information. So the squares are going to represent the different pages in the app, whereas the circles here are going to represent the different buttons that can be accessed on each page. All right, so kind of a closer look, we have right here, we have on the left, we have the page for the login screen. This is going to be right after you open the app. You'll have the login screen, you'll have the account registration button, the close app button, and the confirm button for after you enter your employee number and password. So, and then that can lead you to several different pages, but here we can see below it, it's going to lead you to the home screen where you can again access the main menu. And the main menu is going to be kind of the primary section of the app that you'll be using to access things like availability, viewing your earnings, and sending messages to other coworkers. So here in the middle, we have that account registration button. And again, that's going to be from here on the lock screen. You'll click this account registration button. It'll take you down this way and then over to the account registration section. And one thing to note here is that account registration is going to be a little different based on whether you are a manager or an employee. So this is because if you're a manager, you'll be registering your store in the app as well as yourself as an employee, whereas employees will just be registering themselves. And both of these registrations have a confirm where they must be confirmed before it takes you back to the home screen to log in. All right, and this picture on the right is going to be one of the sections that you can access again from this main menu. It's going to be the time away section. Um, so it's going to show you several options where you can make new requests for time away, or you can look at some of your old requests where you can then cancel them or go back to the main time away menu. So this branch here is going to look very similar to a lot of the other main menu branches that you can access, like availability and earnings and calendar and so on, where it gives employees options to adjust things as they need them to be adjusted and make different requests. So that's just kind of an overall look at the user experience and how the app is going to run. All right. So going back to the project overall and the pace of it, there was one major problem that I faced during the design phase, and that was the winter storm that hit Houston and the South in general. Um, it hit Houston Sunday, February 14th, and it was crazy. There were lows of as low as 8 degrees Fahrenheit, and it lasted several days. And this did cause all of the ice and the snow and the weather caused power outages across Houston. Personally, my power outage lasted 3 days, and the internet was then down for 5 days overall. And this severely impacted the progress of the project. It led to a delay of 1 week where no progress was made in the project, and it caused me to revise some of the schedule, which I'll get into now. So if you look at this chart, this is the revised Gantt chart that I've created for the project schedule. It looks a little different from the original because, as you can see in the design phase at the beginning, it accounts for that week of lost work in the schedule. So what I did to account for this was I cut the development phase off by a week in the beginning, and I extended design by a week. Um, I took off a week from database and data storage development, and instead of that being 2 weeks, it is now 1 week, which is the current week that I'm in right now. All right. But based on this schedule, the projects should still be turned in at the correct time. All right. So overall, there was a big delay, but thanks to the risk management that I performed in the project proposal submission, there were weeks in the schedule timeline that I was able to cut out easily without affecting much of the development of the project. So overall, progress has picked back up at a steady pace, and the rest of the problems that were predicted by risk management from the project proposal have not affected the timeline or the project progress at all. All right, so thank you for listening to my presentation.